The spacecraft itself, in our simulation and our model for our research, is going to be a number 6-32 by 1-inch flathead brass machine screw and 2 number 6-32 brass nuts. A machine screw and 2 nuts. That is the spacecraft. That spacecraft will be attached by 1 drop of hot glue to a wooden dowel. That wooden dowel is going to be placed in the clamp on the ring stand, like so, and it's going to be subjected to intense heat, just as if it were re-entering Earth's atmosphere. What we're going to use for our intense heat is going to be a propane torch. So part of your research is finding out how hot does a propane torch get. My counters are pretty resistant to heat, but we do make sure that we have something for the water for it to fall into. So this is going to be located 6 centimeters. So from the tip of the torch to the hot glue. So it will be 6 centimeters. You're going to have to design a thermal protection system that will stop the heat, whatever this heat is, from traveling to the hot glue, whatever temperature hot glue will melt at, so that our astronauts survive. As soon as that glue melts and that spacecraft falls off, your astronauts are toasted. Not good. All right, so today we're going to look at a slightly different simulation. And we're going to look at the word ablation. So our simulated spacecraft today is going to consist of 2 marshmallows and a piece of semi-sweet dark chocolate. Now, semi-sweet dark chocolate melts at a fairly low temperature. In fact, earlier today I found out that it melts just slightly above body temperature because I had it sitting in my hand as I was talking, and I closed my hand for a second or two, and it got hot enough that guess what happened? It started melting. So we are going to try to have our astronaut survive the heat of a propane torch without melting. If our astronaut melts, he's dead meat. So we're going to use the skewer of science in order to be our tester. And we are going to use 2 marshmallows as our spacecraft. So to prepare our spacecraft, I'm going to take 1 marshmallow and I'm going to hollow out a little cabin so that we can place our astronaut into it. Chocolate astronaut into spacecraft. I am then going to take the other spacecraft, other part of the spacecraft, hollow out a little cabin because the astronaut has to have a place to be, right? And I'm going to place it over my astronaut. Astronaut is now fully in the spacecraft. We will now skewer the spacecraft on the skewer of science and place the spacecraft into the testing apparatus.
It's not.
There's no graham crackers. Hello. Guys, this is
Okay, now, our torch is going to represent the heat from aerodynamic heating that occurs upon re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. We know it's going to start off where the air is less dense. It's then going to get, what's going to happen to the density? We're coming in
higher.
It's going to get greater, right? So we're starting off with low density air, coming in fast through. I want you to observe what portion of the spacecraft is exhibiting the most heat, what is happening, and be ready to describe to me what just happened. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Spacecraft is entering Earth's atmosphere.
Oh God.
That's so good.
I like mine slightly.
Okay, so what part of the marshmallow is exhibiting the most heat? Very front. That's called the leading edge. Alright, so right now, our spacecraft is going and
It looks like it has
through
pimples.
the atmosphere until it ends all the way up back down on the surface of the Earth. Okay, this is the process of ablation. Ablation is burning the outside of something so that, first of all, see that heat that's occurring around there? That heat is actually being used to burn the outside of the marshmallow, the outside of the spacecraft. So that heat is not transferring to the inside. Second of all, you'll notice it makes a nice toasty shell on the outside. If I then try to reignite that nice toasty shell on the outside, does it reignite?
No.
So it forms a barrier that actually stops the heat from transferring to go into the spacecraft. Apollo spacecraft, Gemini spacecraft all use ablation as a means of stopping the heat from going into the inside and killing the astronauts. So, watch again. This is the ablated surface. It has already been ablated. Does it catch on fire again? No. It has actually created a barrier that stops the heat. So ablation does two things. First of all, we're burning the outside. As it burns the outside, it's using that heat energy. That heat energy is not then being transferred inside the spacecraft because it's being used up outside. Second thing, it then creates this nice toasty layer here. This nice toasty layer then creates a barrier that the heat no longer is going through, and it stops the heat from traveling. Did anybody of you, when you looked up ablation, hear the word that it might be eroding away some?
Yeah.
Did you see that? All right. Eroding away just means pieces of it start falling off.
Oh, that's why it was all black over there.
If pieces of it start falling off, oh my gosh, guess what's underneath? Another layer. So you could create a TPS that has multiple layers. The outside can ablate. It will burn up using that heat. It will then stop that heat from being transferred. It will make a barrier that it will then stop. If parts of it come off, now I have another layer underneath. Guess what I can do to that next layer? Ablate the next layer and ablating that next layer. So you can make a multiple layer thermal protection system that will stop the heat from transferring just because of ablation. Now, if I take my spacecraft apart.
Is the astronaut safe?
I don't think so.
Yay!
Perfectly fine. Exactly the same as I put him in there. So he was in that flaming spacecraft, and he is perfectly fine. Can you see the ablative shield that's around the outside that formed?
Yeah.
Looks kind of like a sushi.
Okay, turn that off.